Ladies and gentlemen, this is Lions Den with another news and commentary. Good morning. I know I haven't been doing videos for a while. There's a lot of stuff going on with me right now, but um, there's a lot of stuff that's happening in the world that I missed. There's some stories that I didn't do because I got to take care of personal things. But this story, ladies and gentlemen, is an eye opener, and I'm gonna tell you why it's an eye opener. For those of you that don't know what's going on, Donald Trump is provoking war with Iran. Now, let me take you a step back, and I'm gonna keep it 100 with you guys. Keep it 1 millionth, and I'm always saying this. Um, so now the United States is threatening Iran. They send aircraft carriers, they send ships, they send fighter jets to the Gulf region. Now, I'm going to keep you realistic, and I'm just watched the Young Turks just a few minutes ago talking about this story, and I'm going to talk about it now on this channel. If we go to war with Iran, I'm just say hypothetical if the United States, what will happen is that Iran will retaliate, going after Israel, and then all the other countries will choose sides. Russia and China is going to side with Iran because they're allies, and the United States have is Israel. So particularly if it end up being a all out war, it could be, and I'm not saying it may or may not happen, but it could end up being in World War III. This is not good on all fronts. And remember, the United States, and I'm going to read this. This is the USA Today article. And remember, the United States pulled out the Iran nuclear deal. And when he did that, you got Europeans like Germany, France, all of them, applaud Iran for continue to agreeing with this new deal they, posted. But ladies and gentlemen, this is dead serious. And this ain't about Democrats, Republicans. This ain't about black, white, or anything, dealing with ADOS. But this is dead serious. And already there's been talk, and I'm going to continue reading this in a second, but there's been talk now that the United States is threatening Iran. They already sent troops. No, not troops, I'm sorry. They already sent aircraft carriers, Patriot missile, intercepting Patriot missiles just in case Iran retaliating, shooting missiles at Israel. This is serious. And I want to let you guys know right then and there that we might end up going to another war. Possibly. If Trump keep playing this game. And I'm gonna, like I said, this article is coming from USA Today. It says Iran said Trump is playing a very dangerous game, risking a devastating war. It says Iran has threatened to resume higher enrichment radium in 60 days if world powers fail to negotiate new terms for its 2015 nuclear deal, a year after President Donald Trump withdrew from the accord. Um, and this article is happening in London, England, as I'm told, and we're gonna wait for reaction to do a full of this article. But it says the United States is playing a very dangerous game as its attempts to drag Iran into an unnecessary war. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna wait until reaction, you know, complete this article. But we have to really face up what this really means. Um, it means that if we go to war with Iran, and I'm gonna tell you straight up, this isn't Iraq, this isn't Afghanistan, isn't Syria, this isn't Libya, this isn't even Somalia. This is Iran, and Iran ain't the country you don't want to mess. It's not the country you don't want to mess with. Trust me. And I'm gonna continue to read this. It says Hamdi Ahmadinejad, Iran's ambassador to the United Kingdom, said that Trump's administration made a serious miscalculation in deploying, get this guys, in deploying an aircraft carrier strike group B-2 bombers and other military personnel and equipment to the Persian Gulf to counter alleged unspecified Iranian threats. Ahmadinejad denied that Iran or its proxies were behind what Washington described as sabotage of oil tankers in the Gulf between Saudi Arabia, Norway, and the United Arab Emirates. Tuesday, Saudi Arabia said drone attacked one of its oil pipelines and other energy infrastructure, an incident that caused global oil prices benchmarks to jump. We are prepared for any eventuality, this I can tell you. Ahmadinejad said the United States and Iran have no formal diplomatic channels of communication. The Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, said neither country wants a war. And it continues, says that this is not a military confrontation because no war is to happen, he said, according to Iran state television and a government Twitter account. We don't seek a war, nor do they. They know a war wouldn't be beneficial for them. Ahmadinejad said that from the Iranian perspective, it appears that some of President Donald Trump's closest advisors, such as National Security Advisor John Bolton, are trying to convince Trump to start a military confrontation that neither country wants and would be devastating for Iran, the United States, and the region. So this is a map of what happened, that, drones attacked the pipeline. As you can see, where it is the border between Iran and Saudi Arabia right here. And the U.S., quote unquote, accuses Iran of using drone strikes of these oil tankers. But again, this is serious, ladies and gentlemen. This is dead serious on this. So I'm going to continue reading. It says, Acting U.S. Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan presented a military plan at a meeting of top national security officials that will send as many as 120,000 U.S. troops to the Middle East in the event Iran strikes U.S. forces in the region or speeds up its development of nuclear weapons, according to a report published in the New York Times on Monday. I'm going to stop you right there. They just sending 120,000 U.S. troops to the Middle East to confront Iran. And this isn't it. And ladies and gentlemen, if they do this, this is already sending a message that we are going to war, because ain't no way in the world you're going to send 120,000 U.S. soldiers in the Middle East if you want to go to war. That doesn't happen. And this is an invasion. Like I said, this isn't Saudi Arabia. This isn't Libya. This isn't Somalia. This is Iraq or Afghanistan. This is Iran. And I'm telling you, this country don't play. And I heard a lot of stuff that they do not play. So John Bolton, who Trump's national security advisor, is a war hawk anyway. So he wants this to happen. And this is a concern because now, if the war will indeed happen, you got countries like China and Russia are going to side with the Iranians, and then you have, of course, Israel is going to side with the United States, what could lead to World War III. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a possibility that could lead towards that. And this is not good, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to continue reading this. It says, the plan was partly ordered by Bolton. The report said it does not call for a land invasion of Iran. Now, Trump dismissed the report but said he would send U.S. troops if needed. Since last week, the Trump administration has insisted it has specific and credible intelligence indicating Iran or its regional supporters may have prepared attacks against American forces or targets in the region. It's going to be a bad problem for Iran if something happens, Trump said on Monday outside the White House. The details of the intelligence remain murky. Some seasoned Iran expect fear the Trump administration focus on possible threats from Iran are being driven by hawks looking for a pretext for military conflict. We should remind ourselves that this is a total unnecessary crisis. Trita Parsi, a professor at Georgetown University and an Iran specialist, wrote on Twitter. Last year, Trump withdrew from a landmark deal reached between Iran and with world powers in 2015, under which Iran promised to curtail its nuclear program in return for relief from crippling sanctions. President Barack Obama viewed the accord as one of his signature foreign policy accomplishments. Trump campaigned on abolishing it. We only hear because Trump quit the deal and put Bolton in charge of Iran policy, Parsi tweeted. On Wednesday, the U.S. put its military on high alert in neighboring Iraq amid what it says was an imminent threat to U.S. forces in the nation. Iran's aids a number of Shia militant groups in Iraq and Lebanon, Houthi rebels in Yemen, who are at war with close U.S. ally Saudi Arabia and elsewhere across the Middle East region. The U.S. Embassy in Iraq ordered all non-essential and non-emergency government staff to leave the country right away amid escalating tensions with Iran. But the threats have drawn skepticism from U.S. allies. British Army Major General Christopher Gitka, a deputy commander with the Operation Inherent Resolve Coalition, said Tuesday during a video briefing from Iraq that there been no increased threat from Iranian-backed forces in Iraq and Syria, a statement that was subsequently disputed by the Pentagon. Federica Mogherini, the European Union's foreign affairs chief, called Monday for maximum restraint from the U.S. after a meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in Brussels on Monday. This is politics, and this is about Bolton and others who have been a bee in their bonnet about Iran for as long as they have been in politics, said Robert Mueller, a specialist in international security and co-founder of the SecDef Group, an Ottawa, Canada headquarters consultancy that analyzes open source intelligence. Trump has pursued a policy of maximum pressure on Iran, slapping the Middle Eastern country with a series of increasingly Iranian sanctions that crippled its economy, led to runaway inflation, and caused food and medicine shortages. Last week, Tehran announced that it was abandoning two of its obligations under the nuclear deal, exploiting excess uranium and heavy water used in nuclear reactors. The Trump administration characterized the move as an attempt by Iran to hold the U.S. hostage through nuclear blackmail. But Iran's partial breach of the accord was a direct response to the United States ending exemptions from nations that purchase stockpiles. In other words, Iran took that step to comply with U.S. sanctions. The nuclear deal is becoming meaningless because of the U.S., Ahmadinejad said, noting that Iran gave the three Western European signatures to the deal: the United Kingdom, which is Great Britain, Germany, and France 60 days to salvage it. Otherwise, he said there will be consequences from our side that could include suspending modernization of Iran's Arak nuclear facility, modernization of the heavy water plant ensures it will produce less plutonium, which is needed for a nuclear bomb. The United Nations nuclear watchdog verified 14 times that Iran was complying with the terms of the agreement, even after the United States withdrew last May. Ahmadinejad wouldn't say whether Iran will consider Trump's possible offer to hold talks with Tehran. "I like to see them call me," Trump said last week. On Tuesday, Pompeo, who was in Moscow, where he met with Russian counterpart, reiterated that the United States doesn't seek a war with Iran. That's not how the U.S. military moves look to some in Iran. "You want a better deal with Iran? Looks like you are going to get a war instead," Hezemanian Ashinian, an advisor to Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, wrote on Twitter. Hasina also found room for a moment of levity on the social media platform. "That's what happens when you listen to the mustache," he added in the tweet, referring to Bolton, who has bushy white whiskers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the article. See, what we're seeing right now is that this is to remind you of they pushing for war in Iraq the first time. And looks to me that with the aircraft carriers in the Middle East, now they plan to send 120,000 U.S. troops in the Middle East. And it seems to me they really want to go to war. And obviously, if that happens, it'll be disastrous on both sides, both here in the United States and Iran and countries around the world. And already they're choosing sides. And I told you, if the United States plan to go to war with Iran, there's going to be China and Russia already said they're going to side with Iran already. They're already allies. Then you think about Israel in this conflict, because remember, Iran can send Scud missiles to Israel. That's just why you see now they say they try to get Patriot missiles trying to intercept any missiles launched from Iran to Israel. So this is serious, ladies and gentlemen. And, like I said, goes to show that we need to watch this very carefully. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. This is a video that will explain what will happen if the United States goes to war with Iran. Now, remember, reaction will not show you the video, but however, you will hear the audio of this story. So here it is. Okay, I don't think they'll allow us to play it, but I'm going to finish my commentary that this is serious, and unless one of the countries call bluff, if they decided to do this, it's going to be disastrous on both sides, with us and the country of Iran and countries that also involve who are allies with us and allies with the Iranian government. So, tell us what you think about this. Like, click, subscribe, and remember to click the notification bell for all the news and commentary. With that being said, this is Lions Den signing off. Deuces.